Scene.org brings you why every indie artist needs an owned community forum. Welcome, everyone. I am so thrilled to guide you through today's explainer because, well, we're talking about a massive, game-changing paradigm shift in the music business. For years, social media felt like this absolute magic bullet for indie artists, right? Like a direct, unfiltered line straight to the fans. But as we all know, that dream has kind of shifted. So today, we're diving into exactly how and why you absolutely need to transition your fan base off of those rented social media platforms and over to an owned, dedicated community space. MakingAscene.org really hits the nail on the head here, summarizing the core issue perfectly. They say most indie artists are building communities on land they do not own. And honestly, that completely validates the frustration so many artists are feeling right now. I mean, think about it. You put out a new track, you share a tour flyer, and your own followers, people who literally clicked follow to see your stuff, they don't even see it unless you open your wallet to boost the post. Why is that? Well, because the platforms change the rules. The algorithms have gotten, frankly, a lot stingier. The platform controls the data, they control the ads, and ultimately, they control the room. So it's really time to stop building your house on someone else's land. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the rented land problem, then building owned fan infrastructure. After that, the essential tech stack, followed by setting up the community. Then we'll get into the fan revenue flywheel, and finally wrap up with the new music industry. Section 1, the rented land problem. Stop building on rented land. As MakingAscene.org points out, platforms like TikTok can absolutely make a song move faster than a van with bad shocks on I-95. And sure, places like Spotify or Bandcamp, they're fantastic for getting people to actually hear your music. But, and this is a big but, those places were never actually meant to be the final home of your fan relationship. The whole promise of a direct line to your fans via social media, well, it was broken by algorithms that prioritize keeping people on their platform, not connecting them to you, the artist. On social media, the platform acts as the ultimate gatekeeper. They hold the keys to your reach, they hoard all that juicy fan data, and they monetize the attention through their own ads. But with an owned forum, you control the connection. A passive follower scrolling past you on Instagram or a monthly listener on Spotify, that is just not the same thing as a highly active member inside your very own ecosystem. Because when you own the ecosystem, you own the data, and you get to dictate exactly how the community interacts. Section 2. Building owned fan infrastructure. Modernizing the forum. Now I know exactly what you might be thinking. You're thinking, a forum? Wait. Isn't that just some dusty old message board from like 2004? But according to MakingAscene.org, we need to totally redefine what the forum actually is. We're definitely not talking about archaic, clunky tech here. We're talking about creating a modern, private, indie music network, a central hub where your absolute superfans have a dedicated, real place to gather. So how do we actually build this? Well, it comes down to combining a few incredibly powerful open source tools. First up, WordPress provides the foundation, which gives you total ownership. Then you add BuddyPress, and that gives your fans identity. It acts like a social layer. Think member profiles, activity streams, private messaging, the whole shebang. And finally, BBPress gives your fans conversations. That adds the forum layer with topics, replies, and group discussions. When you put these three together, you completely transform a basic website into this bustling, vibrant hub where your superfans actually have a real reason to connect with each other and not just with you. Section 3. The essential tech stack. The tools to build your house. This specific stack recommended by MakingAscene.org is entirely open source. And what that means is you retain complete 100% control over your data and your content. No vendor lock-in whatsoever. Now, we've already covered the big three, WordPress, BuddyPress, and BBPress. But to really complete this ecosystem, you're going to want to add WooCommerce for your commerce layer. That lets you sell merch, tickets, or digital downloads right there in the same place where the fans are already chatting. And for email, you'd integrate something like the newsletter plugin, which is often paired with an email delivery service, something like Twilio SendGrid, just to make absolutely sure your updates actually land in your fans' inboxes and not their spam folders. Section 4. Setting up the community, a roadmap to launch. Okay, before we get into the exact steps, just a really quick warning here. MakingAscene.org strongly advises against installing, 10 extra plugins on day one. You absolutely have to pour the foundation before you try to decorate the house, right? So get the basics working first with this macro 4-step process. First, prepare WordPress with clean URLs and please make a full backup of your site. Seriously, back it up. Second, install BuddyPress and bbPress, but only turn on the essential components, like extended profiles and activity streams. Keep it simple. Third, create your custom profile fields and set up just a few basic, really strong forums. You definitely don't want to create 50 empty rooms. Start small. And fourth, add your community rules, protect your site from spam using tools like Cloudflare, and heavily, and I mean heavily, test it all with some dummy accounts before you ever invite the public in. And here is an absolutely crucial setup tip for you. Keep your registration forms short. Look, when a fan is super excited to join your new space, hitting them with a long, tedious form is going to completely kill their momentum. You definitely don't want to end up creating a ghost town full of unused login buttons. So just ask for the bare minimum up front. Maybe just grab their username, their email, and ask whether they're a fan or an artist. That's it. You can always ask for the deeper info, stuff like their favorite music styles or what city they're from, later on their profile page once that relationship is actually established. Section 5. The Fan Revenue Flywheel. Turning attention into assets. All right, now we're reaching the absolute climax of this explainer. Because, look, a forum by itself doesn't just magically make money. But when you connect it to your broader business ecosystem, that is when it generates predictable revenue. This is MakingAScene.org's brilliant concept of the flywheel. It goes like this. A fan joins the forum, which creates an account. That account gives you permission to build a relationship. That relationship gives you a totally valid reason to send highly relevant emails. Those emails then bring fans back to your site for commerce, buying merch or tickets. Their purchases then earn them fan rewards, which they can then show off in the community, and that inspires others to do the same. It's beautiful, really. Each piece seamlessly feeds into the next, creating this amazing self-sustaining engine. Now, a really vital piece of that flywheel is the Fan Passport. Basically, it's a record of fan participation where your members can earn stamps, badges, or special access from meaningful interactions. Did they buy a vinyl record? Did they attend 3 shows on this tour? Bring a friend? They get recognized for it. MakingAScene.org notes that you can start this off really simply by just using basic WordPress user roles or even simple coupon codes. But down the line, eventually, you can even utilize Web3 tools, things like POAP for digital mementos or Unlock Protocol to recognize fan loyalty without having to rely on those traditional gatekeepers. So this brings up a really fantastic question for all of you watching right now. How exactly do you bridge the gap between the real-world, sweaty, visceral energy of a live gig and your brand new digital platform? How do you make absolutely sure this community doesn't just exist on a computer screen? Well, the answer is highly strategic QR code placement. You want to place these things everywhere. At the merch tables, right near the stage exits, on your tour posters, and even inside your physical vinyl inserts. But, and listen closely, here is the golden rule from MakingAScene.org. Every single code must have a specific job. Never, ever just send a QR code to your standard homepage. That is, frankly, just lazy marketing. A code at the merch table, that should lead directly to a Fan Passport claim page. A code plastered on a stage exit, that should literally say, "Hey, thanks for coming. Click here to get tonight's set list and join the local tour forum." See the difference? And once they are actually in the door, your commerce and memberships must be totally native to the community. By using tools like WooCommerce Memberships, Paid Memberships Pro, or MemberPress, you can easily offer tiered access. It's smart to start with a free public tier. That way you don't completely wall off the conversation from new people, but then you offer a supporter tier for things like early ticket access, and maybe a superfan tier for super exclusive private listening sessions. Oh, and for the cash flow conscious indie artists out there, integrating Printful for print-on-demand merch directly into WooCommerce? Absolute game changer. It means you don't have to risk your rent money on huge boxes of t-shirts just sitting in your living room gathering dust. Section 6. The new music industry. Building systems, not lotteries. Ultimately, this isn't just about setting up a website. It is really about the macro impact this strategy has on an indie artist's entire career. It's about moving away from that exhausting lottery mindset and shifting into a systems mindset. As MakingAScene.org puts it, the music industry middle class will be built by systems, not by one viral song. I just think that is an incredibly empowering message. We have to stop just sitting around waiting for a lucky playlist placement or hoping a record label scout happens to walk into the bar or praying for a random algorithmic miracle on TikTok to launch a career. You have to start actively building reliable infrastructure that actually captures attention and turns it into a lasting, meaningful connection. The ultimate paradigm shift really boils down to this. The old music business wanted artists to chase permission. The new independent model asks artists to build systems they own. Look, your music obviously still has to be great, and the live show absolutely still has to connect with people. But in today's world, the music alone just isn't quite enough. You need a centralized place where the relationship continues long, long after the song ends. A place that truly belongs to you and your fans, and not to Mark Zuckerberg or some fickle algorithm. Which leaves us with this final, genuinely provocative thought for you to chew on. Stop saving the music industry. Start building the next one. When you take the time to build these owned rooms, you are literally taking back control of your art and your livelihood. Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.